My business partner and best friend tried to steal my company, so I let him have it and watched his world burn. I'm David, 29, and I learned the hardest lesson of my life. Trust the wrong person and they'll take everything from you. What they don't expect is for you to be smart enough to let them hang themselves with the rope you give them. 2 years ago, I started a digital marketing agency with my college roommate and best friend, Tyler. We called it NextGen Digital. I had the technical skills and business sense. Tyler had the charisma and sales talent. Perfect partnership, or so I thought. We split everything 50-50, signed partnership papers, even got matching tattoos of our company logo. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs earlier. It started small. Tyler began taking credit for my ideas in client meetings. When I present a campaign strategy, he'd interrupt with "actually, what David means is," and then repeat exactly what I just said, but louder and with more confidence. Clients loved him. He was tall, good-looking, had that natural salesman charm that made people want to buy whatever he was selling. Meanwhile, I was the one staying up until 3 a.m. coding websites, analyzing data, creating the actual campaigns that made our clients money. But Tyler was the face of the company. The one who showed up at networking events, posted on our social media, gave interviews to local business magazines. The business grew fast. Within 18 months, we had 15 employees and were pulling in $2.2 million annually. We'd gone from working out of my garage to renting a sleek downtown office. I was proud of what we'd built together. But success changed Tyler. He started talking about expanding his vision and taking the company to the next level. He hired his girlfriend, Madison, as our creative director at a ridiculous salary, despite her only qualification being a communications degree and a decent Instagram following. When I questioned it, Tyler said I was being jealous and small-minded. "This is bigger than us now, David," he told me over beers one Friday. "We need to think like real executives, not just two guys from college." The real wake-up call came during our 2-year anniversary celebration. Tyler stood up to give a speech to our team and clients, talking about his journey as an entrepreneur and the company he'd built from nothing. He mentioned me exactly once, as my technical partner who helps with the back-end stuff. That night, I went home to my apartment and really looked at our partnership agreement for the first time in months. We drafted it ourselves using online templates, splitting everything evenly with basic clauses about decision-making and profit distribution. It was simple, maybe too simple. But buried in Section 12 was something interesting. Either partner could buy out the other for fair market value if they could prove the partnership was no longer viable. The key word was prove. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention to Tyler's behavior. He was having a lot of private meetings with Madison that didn't seem particularly work-related. He'd started referring to client wins as my clients instead of our clients. Most telling, he'd begun scheduling important meetings when he knew I'd be unavailable, then making decisions without consulting me. The breaking point came 3 months later. I walked into the office early one Monday morning and heard voices from the conference room. Tyler was in there with Madison and 2 men in expensive suits I didn't recognize. "Once we restructure the ownership, we can position NextGen for serious investment money," one of the suits was saying. "Your friend David seems like a nice guy, but investors want to see clear leadership, not some confusing partnership structure." Tyler's voice: "David's been holding us back anyway. He's too conservative, doesn't think big enough. This company needs someone who can make the tough decisions. The technical work can be outsourced," Madison added. "We don't need a full partner just to manage developers." I stood there for a moment, feeling that familiar ice-cold clarity wash over me. Then I walked in. "Good morning," I said pleasantly. "I don't think we've met." The 2 suits looked uncomfortable. Tyler's face went red, then pale. "David, hey, this is just a preliminary discussion about potential growth strategies," Tyler stammered. "Growth strategies that involve restructuring my ownership in the company I co-founded?" One of the suits cleared his throat. "Mr. Chun, I'm Brad Morrison from Morrison Capital. We're always interested in promising startups, but we typically prefer clear leadership structures. And you've been led to believe that Tyler here is the sole leader of NextGen Digital?" Tyler jumped in quickly. "David, you're misunderstanding. We're just exploring options." "I see. Well, Tyler, since you're exploring options, I have one for you." I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memo app. "I'm going to make this very simple. You want to be the sole leader of NextGen Digital? You can have it. The room went silent. What do you mean? Tyler asked carefully. I mean, I'm invoking Section 12 of our partnership agreement. I'm dissolving our partnership effective immediately. You can't just... Actually, I can. The partnership is no longer viable due to fundamental disagreements about company direction and your apparent desire to restructure ownership without my consent. But here's the thing, Tyler. You can buy me out for fair market value, or I can buy you out. Tyler looked confident suddenly. Fine, I'll buy you out. What do you think fair market value is? This was the moment I'd been preparing for. Well, according to the financial projections you just shared with these gentlemen, NextGen is worth about $3.2 million. So your half would be $1.6 million. His confidence wavered. I don't have $1.6 million liquid. Then I guess I'll be buying you out instead. You don't have that kind of money either. I smiled. Actually, Tyler, I do. See, while you've been playing executive and hiring your girlfriend, I've been saving every penny of my profit distributions. Plus, I have a very interesting offer from a competitor who's been trying to poach me for months. They're willing to finance the buyout in exchange for a minority stake. This was partially true. Marcus Rodriguez from TechFlow Marketing had been trying to recruit me and had mentioned they'd be interested in acquiring NextGen if I ever wanted to sell. I'd never seriously considered it until now. You're bluffing, Tyler said, but his voice shook. Brad. I turned to the investor. I assume you did your due diligence on NextGen before this meeting? He nodded uncomfortably. Then you know that I personally coded 90% of our proprietary software, designed our entire operational framework, and maintain relationships with all our key technical vendors. You also probably discovered that Tyler's primary contribution has been sales and client relations. Another nod. So what do you think happens to NextGen's value if I leave and take my technical expertise, my software, and my vendor relationships with me? The room was dead quiet. Now, I continued, Tyler can try to buy me out for $1.6 million, or I can buy him out for the same amount. But if he chooses option 1, he'll own 100% of a company that just lost its entire technical foundation. If I choose option 2, I'll own a company that needs to rebuild its sales pipeline, but still has all its core assets. Tyler was sweating now. David, come on, we can work this out. We're best friends. Best friends don't try to secretly restructure their partner's ownership behind their back. Madison spoke up for the first time. Tyler, maybe we should think about this. Shut up, Madison. Tyler snapped, then immediately looked embarrassed. I addressed the investors. Gentlemen, I think your meeting is over. Tyler and I need to discuss this privately. They left quickly, clearly wanting no part of the drama. Once we were alone, Tyler slumped in his chair. You've got me trapped. No, Tyler. You trapped yourself. I'm just giving you exactly what you wanted. Full control of NextGen Digital. But without the buyout money. That's your problem to solve. You wanted to be the sole decision maker? Here's your first big decision. I left him sitting there and went to my office to draft the partnership dissolution paperwork. By that afternoon, I'd retained a lawyer and initiated the formal process. Tyler spent the next week frantically trying to secure financing for the buyout. He went to banks, private lenders, even tried to get his wealthy parents to co-sign a loan. Nobody would give him $1.6 million to buy out a technical partner from a company he couldn't run without that partner. Meanwhile, I had a very productive conversation with Marcus Rodriguez at TechFlow Marketing. They were indeed interested in acquiring NextGen's assets and client base, and they offered me a very attractive deal. They'd finance Tyler's buyout in exchange for a 40% stake in the new entity, with me as Chief Technology Officer and a path to full ownership over 5 years. On Friday of that week, I made Tyler an offer. I'll buy you out for $1.6 million, financed through TechFlow's acquisition offer. You get your money, I get the company, everyone wins. Tyler looked defeated. And if I say no? Then we continue as partners, but I'm requiring a complete restructuring of roles and responsibilities. You'll handle sales and client relations only. All technical decisions, hiring, and strategic planning go through me. Also, Madison's position is eliminated effective immediately. You can't fire Madison. I'm not firing her. I'm eliminating a position that was created without proper consultation. Per our partnership agreement, both partners must approve all executive hires. When did you get my approval for Madison's position? He couldn't answer because he never had. Tyler took the buyout. The transition was surprisingly smooth. TechFlow's lawyers handled all the paperwork, and within 30 days, I owned NextGen Digital outright, minus TechFlow's 40% stake, which came with a very hands-off management style. The first thing I did was call an all-hands meeting. As you all know, Tyler is leaving to pursue other opportunities, I announced to the team. I want to assure everyone that your jobs are secure and NextGen's commitment to our clients remains unchanged. Then I addressed the elephant in the room. However, we will be restructuring some roles to improve efficiency. Madison's position as creative director is being eliminated. Our existing design team has been handling all creative work anyway, so this won't impact our operations. Madison stormed out, but the rest of the team actually seemed relieved. Apparently, Tyler's management style and Madison's involvement had been sources of tension I wasn't fully aware of. Over the next 3 months, something amazing happened. Without Tyler's constant need to be the center of attention and Madison's disruptive influence, the team became more collaborative and productive. Client satisfaction improved because I was personally involved in campaign development again. Revenue increased by 30% because we weren't paying inflated salaries for unnecessary positions. Most importantly, I rediscovered my passion for the work. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed the creative and technical challenges of digital marketing when I wasn't constantly managing Tyler's ego and poor decisions. But the real vindication came 6 months later. Tyler had used his buyout money to start a competing agency called Apex Digital Solutions. He'd poached 2 of our junior employees and was trying to undercut our prices to steal clients. He'd also hired Madison as his VP of operations and was heavily promoting their fresh approach to digital marketing. I wasn't worried. Tyler was a good salesman, but he'd never understood the technical side of the business. Without the infrastructure I'd built at NextGen, he was essentially running a very expensive freelance operation. Sure enough, within 4 months, Apex Digital was struggling. Tyler had overpromised to clients on deliverables his team couldn't handle. He'd burned through most of his buyout money on fancy office space and high salaries for unqualified staff. Worst of all, he'd made the classic mistake of competing on price instead of value, which meant even his wins weren't profitable. I heard through industry contacts that Tyler was desperately trying to find investors or buyers for Apex. The same Brad Morrison who'd been in our conference room that day was apparently avoiding Tyler's calls. The coup de grace came when Tyler reached out to me directly. "David," he said when I answered his call, "I know things ended badly between us, but I'm in a tough spot. Would NextGen be interested in acquiring Apex's client list?" I almost laughed. "Tyler, you're asking me to buy back the clients you try to steal from me? It's not like that. This would be a legitimate business transaction. What's your asking price?" $200,000 for the client contracts and our proprietary software. Now I did laugh. "Tyler, you don't have any proprietary software. You're using WordPress templates and third-party tools. As for the clients, I already know most of them are unhappy with your service because 3 of them have contacted me directly about switching back. David, please. I'm about to lose everything. You lost everything the day you decided I wasn't good enough to be your equal partner." I hung up. 2 weeks later, Apex Digital Solutions officially closed. Tyler had to declare personal bankruptcy because he'd personally guaranteed the company's debts. Madison left him for a guy who worked at one of the investment firms that had rejected Tyler's funding requests. Meanwhile, NextGen Digital continued to thrive. We'd grown to 22 employees and were on track to hit $3.5 million in revenue. TechFlow was so impressed with our performance that they offered to accelerate my path to full ownership. Tyler called me one more time, about a month after Apex closed. "David, I know I screwed up. I know I betrayed your trust and tried to push you out of the company we built together. I was an idiot." "Yes, you were. Is there any chance? Could I come work for NextGen? I know it sounds crazy, but I'm a good salesman. I could help grow the business." I was quiet for a long moment, thinking about the partnership we'd started with such high hopes, the friendship that had lasted since college, all the dreams we'd shared about building something meaningful together. "Tyler," I said finally, "you taught me the most valuable lesson of my entrepreneurial career. Never trust someone who thinks they're more important than the work itself. Thank you for that lesson." "So that's a no?" "That's a no. I haven't spoken to Tyler since. I heard he moved back in with his parents and got a job selling insurance. Sometimes I feel bad for him, but then I remember how easily he was willing to throw away our friendship and partnership for the chance to be the sole king of a castle he couldn't build or maintain without me. The truth is, I'm grateful for how everything played out. Tyler's betrayal forced me to bet on myself in a way I never would have otherwise. It showed me that I didn't need a partner to be successful. I just needed to trust my own abilities and surround myself with people who shared my values. NextGen Digital is now valued at over $5 million. I've got a team I trust, clients who respect our work, and the satisfaction of knowing I built something real through my own skills and effort, not through manipulation or politics. As for Tyler, he got exactly what he wanted, full control of a company. It just wasn't worth anything once he had it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just letting someone face the natural consequences of their choices while you focus on building something better.